Welcome to this series on decimal numbers. In this introductory clip, we will look at the vocabulary of decimal numbers and the importance on using the correct terminology in the classroom. We see decimal numbers all the time in financial sectors, in sports, science, with money. However, in the classroom, it's very important to say decimal numbers in the correct way. And this clip will help you to do that. Take a look at the first number and read it out loud to yourselves. The correct way to read this number is 234. You may have said 234. However, it's important to leave the "and" out when expressing whole numbers. Take a look at the second example, and again, I invite you to read this number out loud. The correct way to read this number is 2 34 hundredths. You may have said 2.34, 2.34, and so on. However, it's important to know that "and" denotes the decimal. So when you see a decimal number, read the decimal as "and." Let's take a look at the place value chart. Here we have the thousandths, hundreds, tens, ones, a blank column where we will put our decimal, the tenths column, the hundredths column, and the thousandths column. May have sounded a bit funny when I was reading out the last three numbers, the last three place values. However, it's important to say the th sound at the end of tenths and hundredths and thousandths. Let's do some examples. I'm going to write out a number, and if you'd like, please read out the way you would read out the number in a classroom. The correct way to read this number is 41 and 362 thousandths. So as you can tell, where I had a decimal, I said and I read out the numbers following the decimal. It's 362 thousandths. The decimal name is determined by the smallest decimal place value in the number. Here, the smallest number was in the thousandths column. Let's do another example. $427 and 19 hundredths. I used hundredths because the smallest decimal place value in the number was in the hundredths column. Last example. $93 and 8 thousandths. The 8 is in the thousandths column. Even though I have zeros in the tenths and in the hundredths column, I have to read the number keeping the tenths and the hundredths column alive. This is not just a placeholder, if you will. It's an actual number, and I have to read my decimal number with the tenths and the hundredths column in mind. I encourage you in the classroom to not only teach your students the correct way to read a decimal number, but to also model the correct way in reading decimal numbers.